Serious, what is it like to have children you don't want? I can tell you what it's like being the unwanted child. I went to the dentist once in my first 17 years. I had broken my nose twice and I just had to walk it off. I never saw a doctor. I would get yelled at if my shoes wore out too quick, and they were Payless $19.99 shoes. As soon as was able to drive, the dinner table was only set for 2 instead of 3 because I could get my own food now. My lunch was a bologna white bread sandwich and an apple for 10 years straight. Fast forward, I moved in with my grandma. She said she would help out with college if I helped out around the house. First few months she got me in, the dentist fixed all my teeth and I got some braces on. Second, I was a mouth breather, so I went to a plastic surgeon, fixed my deviated septum right up. She also co-signed on a car loan so I could get around. She embraced every friend that came to the house. While growing my up, friends hid from my dad because he was so mean. My grandma noticed that I would get home and run to my room, and one day she told me I don't have to hide in there, I can hang out wherever I want. That's the difference between being a burden and being wanted. Your grandma sounds like a wonderful person. I was the literal red-headed stepchild. My mother married him when I was 4 years old. I'd get hit, locked in my room, and just assumed this was normal dad stuff. My brother was born when I was 8 years old. It killed me to note the difference. My primary function became almost full-time nanny for him and later my sister. I remember getting beat because I wasn't doing a good job potty training brother. The state removed me from the home after I was almost beat to death by him. Fuck that guy, he died miserably of liver cancer. My mother never left him. Every now and then well-meaning aunties tell me I'll regret not being close to my mother, and I just kind of laugh. I made myself, without her, no need to try to wedge her back into my life. I feel this hard. My parents divorced before I was 1. My dad likes to go on, all my problems are from sex addiction. Nothing's my fault rants since I was like fucking 7. My mom loved me until I hit about 8 to 9 and she got distant and wanted another kid, but didn't remarry or anything. So she adopted. Suddenly I had no mom. I had 2 pairs of pants and 4 shirts, a ratty old jacket, and ratty old shoes. While my sister, at 2, had clothes bursting in -3 closets of the house. I was bullied a lot for it. It stayed like that. The day she got the kid she wanted without baggage, I didn't exist. She paid for my sister's braces, but not mine. She paid for acne medicine for my sister, not me, and the other day went on a "can you imagine having nothing but soap and water" tangent. Yeah, I can bitch. She takes my sister on vacation every year, but not me. When we were kids, and now as adults. Usually over my birthday. They usually take a cruise for a week covering my birthday. Occasionally they forget my birthday. Most years as a kid I asked for family time together, never happened. Funny enough, we both need a rare QOL surgery. She always said there was no money to help me. Guess who she's paying for when she found out she had it? Having toxic parents is so hard. So much becomes normalized. I still love my mom a lot, and routinely sacrifice for her. I don't think she'd mourn me. It all got worse when I came out. My grandma started calling me slurs, and blames me for my sister liking her less over it. If I could have anything in the world, it'd be family that loves me. I'd give up anything to have people who give a shit about me. I've felt my face burn. Felt naval surgeons cut into my face while awake. I've been through violent death, conflict, and violent rape. Cake walks next to a family who doesn't love you back. Well, better ask someone to hold onto my firearm, cause that opened some old wounds. My girlfriend had a 2-year-old when I met her. He's 5 now. I didn't plan to have kids, but I love her. I'm pretty much used to it. I teach him stuff and he's attached to my hip when he's here, joint custody with the father, but ideally I'd have preferred to not have a kid around. I can deal though. He can be a little shithead sometimes, LMAO. Also, it's weird disciplining someone else's kid, so I'm just getting there. I can see the betrayal in his eyes. I'm supposed to be like the fun uncle, getting on to him is weird. Never really said that out loud. This is liberating. Similar situation, but the little kid is now 22. It's a wild ride, man, but don't worry about the disciplining. It becomes easier with time. Just chat to the mom so you know you have her sign off and you both discipline in the same way. I love my son. I would die for him. I'd kill for him if I had to. Yet, if I could go back in time and not have children, then I would. I was not prepared for a child, even though I worked. We planned this pregnancy. I was not prepared for how much I'd lose myself and my whole identity. I was not prepared for the sleep deprivation, the constant screaming, the colic. I think overall I had a very bad experience. I was very sick after having a baby. I will never let my son know this, I will never let my son feel he is unloved or unwanted. It was not his choice to be born. A very close friend has 2 children, 6 and 2.5, but really because her husband wanted kids and she knew he'd leave her if she stood her ground on not wanting kids. She loves her kids with all her heart, but misses the life she could have had without them. Aside from work, just started her residency, all she does is being a mom. She has little to no time for her own hobbies anymore, and misses that a lot. I can't say if the kids notice that, at their age, but I worry they might, at some point, or that she'll one day just crack and resent either her kids or her husband for taking that child-free life from her. Edit, just to clarify, they talked openly about the situation before getting married or even engaged. She knew her options and made the conscious choice to stay with her partner, even if that meant updating her life plans. She's not unhappy or miserable, neither are her partner or her kids. She simply sometimes has her what if moments, but I'm sure many of us have those. Sure, many would have made a different decision, but it was ultimately her decision in this case and she made it. This happened to a friend of a friend. She had the kids, and it created such resentment that her husband divorced her. So now she's got 2 kids she never really wanted, eta they split custody 50-50, and no husband that she did want. Yikes. My ex-husband was emotionally abusive and, if I'm being completely honest with myself, forced me into getting pregnant 3 months after going into labor and losing our daughter at 20 weeks. I wasn't ready and I hadn't really had a chance to grieve. He quit his job 3 days into my required maternity leave, so I had to go back to work as soon as physically possible. Our son was 13 weeks early, spent 2 months in the NICU and cost over $1 million in his first year. Thank goodness for good insurance. Now my son is almost 7, his father hasn't been in the picture for years, and until recently, I was doing it all on my own. My son showed incredible strength to grow big enough to breath on his own and come home, so I've made it my mission to give him a great life and make sure he never knows that I didn't want to be a parent after my daughter died. Reminder, not wanting kids does not equal hating kids. Well, I did not want my child, and if given the chance to give him up to parents who have the economic stance and who will truly be there for him and love him, then I would. But even though I do not want him, it doesn't mean I do not love the living crap out of him. He is my world. My love bug, my baby bears, my honey buns. I would die for him, and in a way I did. I did not plan it. I was on Depot. Depot stopped my periods for a whole year. The one time they skipped a pregnancy test to approve my next dose was the one that would have told me I was pregnant. I am poor, so it took a while for me to be able to see a proper doctor with an actual ultrasound. By the time we found out how far along I was, it was too late for an abortion. I wasn't ready. I am still not ready. I didn't grow up well, so I didn't know love and didn't know how to give it. But once he was in my arms, I felt it and try to give it to him any way I can. I might not have much or much money, but it all goes to him. I wish he could have had a better mom and a better life. I feel bad he ended up with me. He is amazing. And so handsome. I want him to have a better life, one he deserves and know I can't give to him. I know someone who was diagnosed with MS and had 5 kids because each pregnancy her MS got better. She was a terrible mother. No involvement with her kids. Imagine growing up and at some point you figure out you were a medical treatment your mother was using to not have MS episodes. How does pregnancy help MS exactly? There's an entire sub for this called Regretful Parents. I'll never forget one topic in AskReddit where parents with throwaway accounts confessed how much they hate their severely autistic children and have thought about killing them so they could finally be free. Like, damn man. My mom just forgot we existed and had another baby to keep her happy. I have 10 siblings. I weirdly know a number of women who've done this, kept having babies because they like babies, without regard to their ability to care for an entire child for years and years in the future. I'm sorry you were raised that way, it's abuse. I'm the oldest of 6, and my mom was raised in a religious cult that glorified large families, so she planned it that way even though her mental health wasn't that strong. I'm in my 30s and just starting to notice that some of the stuff from my childhood wasn't okay, or wasn't how things should be. Whenever I hear about my students with 5+ siblings, I worry about them. Some people can live and care for that many kids, but a lot just have several kids so they babysit, do chores, etc. I feel like abuse and neglect risk is higher when in large families. I have kids and I wanted them. But, I was an unwanted kid. My mom and non-bio dad married when I was young. He raised me, but I never felt love from him at all. He married her to get her out of a bad situation. I thought he didn't want kids, but when I was about 5/6, my sister was born. He wanted kids. He just didn't want me. I saw how different he was with her, and his other kids they had later. Those who have kids that you don't want, they're aware on some level.